Washington Times front page for Wednesday, October 26, 2022. Thanks for joining us. I'm George Gerbo. The Congressional Progressive Caucus has withdrawn a letter urging President Biden to negotiate with Russia over the war in Ukraine after it sparked a backlash among fellow Democrats. Dave Boyer and Joseph Clark report CPC Chair Pamelia Jayapal said the letter was drafted several months ago, but unfortunately was released by staff without vetting. She said the letter was conflated because of the timing of its release after comments by House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy were interpreted as suggesting a possible end to U.S. aid to Ukraine if Republicans win control of the House. Some Democrats were angered that the caucus's letter undercut their criticism of Republicans over the war. The rise of Giorgia Meloni as Italy's new prime minister has brought a change in focus across Europe, testing whether the country's most right-wing government since World War II will herald a new wave of European populist nationalism. Italian nationalist movements have had a history of starting trends on the continent. Benito Mussolini's March on Rome almost 100 years ago was the start of a nativist movement that eventually helped spark World War II. Meloni issued her strongest enunciation of classic Italian fascism in her first speech to the Italian parliament on Tuesday. She called Mussolini's racial laws and the deportation of Italian Jews during World War II the worst moment in Italian history. She vowed to oppose anti-democratic regimes, including fascism, and would fight every kind of racism, anti-Semitism, and discrimination. You can read all these stories at WashingtonTimes.com/front page. You can also find the entire lineup of Washington Times podcasts at WashingtonTimes.com/podcasts. Kansas Governor Laura Kelly has portrayed herself as a moderate Democrat in her tight re-election bid, but a late-breaking flap over state support for drag shows could drown out her messaging. Valerie Richardson reports state Republicans claim two of the host organizations for the shows had received state grants. Kansas Department of Commerce spokesperson Patrick Lowry denied that a state commission was sponsoring the shows, and Kelly told the Kansas City Star that her opponent, State Attorney General Derek Schmidt, was deceiving the public on the issue. House Foreign Affairs Committee ranking member Michael McCall has sent a letter to the State Department over a grant to fund 12 drag shows in Ecuador as part of its global cultural outreach program. In a letter to Secretary of State Antony Blinken, Joseph Clark reports McCall highlighted the recently awarded grant of $20,600. The funds went to Ecuador's Abraham Lincoln North American Cultural Center to host 12 drag theater performances designed to promote diversity and inclusion. The project grant was funded on September 30th and runs through August of next year. McCall is questioning the State Department's rationale and demanding the department hand over internal documents and communications on why it was approved. And finally, a look back at the career of former Washington Times investigative reporter Jerry Sepper, who died last week at age 79. Sepper's reporting helped uncover details leading to the investigation of then-President Bill Clinton in the early 1990s, and he was there when an FBI sting caught then-D.C. Mayor Marion Barry smoking crack cocaine. Prior to his time in Washington, Sepper served with the Navy during the Vietnam War, worked in Los Angeles County as a beat cop, wrote about wine for California's vineyard industry, and covered organized crime as a reporter for the Arizona Republic. Find all today's front page stories at WashingtonTimes.com/front page or on the Washington Times app, and find us wherever you get your podcasts. Just search Washington Times in any major podcast app. You can also find us on Twitter and Instagram at Wash Times for breaking news, sports, commentary, and more. The Washington Times, I'm George Gerbo.